When we talk about femininity, the first mistake many people make is reducing it to appearance. Society has trained women to think that femininity means wearing a certain dress, applying makeup, or meeting a standard of beauty. But that is surface level. It's decoration, not essence. Femininity at its core is energy. It's not about how you look, it's about how you make people feel when you enter a space. Think about it. Have you ever met a woman who didn't fit the conventional mold of beauty, yet she was unforgettable? She had a presence that lingered long after she left the room. That is feminine energy. It's the softness in her tone, the openness in her eyes, the quiet confidence in her body language. It's something you can't buy, fake, or Photoshop. Psychologists describe this energy as affective presence, the emotional impact you leave on others. And a woman who is grounded in her femininity carries a calming, magnetic influence. People are drawn to her not because of her appearance, but because of the way she makes them feel seen, safe, and understood. This is why true femininity is timeless. Trends change, standards of beauty rise and fall. But energy is eternal. When you cultivate your inner essence, when your femininity radiates from within, you'll realize that your external appearance is secondary. Because the truth is simple. A woman's real beauty begins where her presence begins. One of the greatest lies women have been sold is that vulnerability equals weakness. From a young age, many are told to toughen up, to hide their emotions, to prove they can be just as hard as the world demands. In doing so, they bury the very essence of their femininity. Vulnerability is not a flaw. It is a form of strength that requires immense courage. To open your heart in a world that rewards detachment is revolutionary. When a woman is vulnerable, she allows herself to be seen, truly seen, without the layers of armor that society pressures her to wear. And this kind of openness creates connection, deep, meaningful connection that surface level strength can never replicate. Psychologists note that vulnerability builds trust, intimacy, and authenticity. It is the foundation of lasting relationships, not only with others, but also with yourself. But let me be clear, vulnerability is not about recklessly exposing yourself to everyone. It's about discerning where to place your openness, choosing wisely who has earned the right to witness your truth. That kind of vulnerability is not weakness, it's wisdom. The feminine woman understands that her power does not come from pretending to be untouchable. It comes from having the courage to feel deeply, to express authentically, and to love without apology. Because the paradox is this: the softer you allow yourself to be, the stronger your impact becomes. Another misunderstanding about femininity is the belief that it means being passive, waiting silently, and letting life just happen. But femininity is not about doing nothing. It's about receptivity. And receptivity is not weakness. It's a skill, a discipline, a conscious choice to allow the flow of life instead of constantly trying to force it. We live in a culture that glorifies control. The more you push, the harder you hustle, the louder you demand, the more respect you're supposed to earn. But true feminine energy works differently. It doesn't demand, it attracts. It doesn't chase, it receives. A woman aligned with her femininity knows how to create space for love, opportunities, and abundance to flow toward her, without guilt and without apology. Psychologists call this the principle of receptivity. It's the ability to remain open to possibilities without the need to dominate outcomes. When a woman embraces this, she becomes magnetic. People feel drawn to her energy, not because she is chasing them, but because she radiates calm confidence, a quiet assurance that what is meant for her will not pass her by. This is why feminine power feels so different from masculine power. Masculine energy conquers, feminine energy magnetizes, and both are necessary. But when a woman forgets her gift of receptivity, she loses touch with one of the deepest sources of her influence. Because the truth is this: what you are open to will always find its way to you. One of the most beautiful qualities of femininity is the instinct to nurture. A feminine woman carries within her the natural ability to give life, to care, to support, to heal. This nurturing spirit is what softens relationships, strengthens families, and builds communities. But the danger comes when nurturing turns into self-erasure, when a woman pours so much into others that she leaves nothing for herself. That is not femininity, that is depletion. True femininity does not demand self-sacrifice to the point of emptiness. It is about giving from a place of fullness. You cannot water others if your own well has run dry, and yet so many women confuse exhaustion with love, thinking that the more they drain themselves, the more valuable they become. In reality, it's the opposite. The more you nurture yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, the more powerful your nurturing of others becomes. Philosophically, this is about balance. Feminine energy is not only about caring for others, but also about respecting your own worth enough to set boundaries. A woman rooted in her femininity knows when to give and when to withhold, when to open her hands and when to protect her peace. That discernment is what makes her nurturing sustainable, not temporary. Because the truth is simple: if you abandon yourself in the name of love, you are not truly loving. You are only disappearing. The true measure, femininity, often reveals itself in moments of pressure. Anyone can be graceful when life is easy, but the real test comes when circumstances are harsh, when people are difficult, when everything seems to demand a reaction. Masculine energy often meets pressure with force, aggression, confrontation, the need to overpower. Feminine energy responds differently. It meets tension with grace, with emotional intelligence, with the ability to disarm conflict without escalating it. This doesn't mean silence or submission. Grace is not weakness. It is strategy. It is wisdom. It is the capacity to respond without losing yourself in anger or chaos. A feminine woman doesn't need to shout to be heard. Her composure alone communicates strength. She doesn't need to dominate to prove her power. Her steadiness speaks louder than aggression ever could. Psychologists often describe this as emotional regulation, the ability to remain grounded when emotions run high, and in relationships, in careers, even in moments of personal struggle, this ability is invaluable. People remember how you made them feel under stress more than how you behaved in times of comfort. Femininity at its highest form is the calm in the storm. It is the presence that brings perspective when others are blinded by anger. And that kind of strength is unforgettable, because in the end, true power is not in how loudly you fight. It's in how gracefully you rise above the fight. At the heart of femininity is alignment with nature. The feminine is not mechanical, rigid, or linear. It is cyclical, fluid, and deeply intuitive. Just as the moon shifts in phases and the seasons move in rhythms, the feminine energy carries its own patterns of rest, renewal, and creation. When a woman resists this natural flow, when she forces herself to live in constant productivity, constant giving, constant proving, she begins to feel drained and disconnected from herself. Modern life has conditioned women to reject this rhythm, to treat their bodies like machines that must always perform. But femininity thrives when you honor your cycles, your need for rest, your need for silence, your need for expression. This is not laziness, this is wisdom. Because when you align with your natural rhythm, you stop fighting yourself and your energy becomes magnetic and effortless. Philosophers often describe this as harmony, the state where your inner world matches the order of the outer world. A feminine woman tuned into nature trusts her intuition, respects her body, and moves with life rather than against it. She understands that there is a season for everything. A season to plant, a season to grow, a season to harvest, and a season to simply be still. And the truth is this: when a woman aligns with nature, she doesn't just flow with life, she becomes life itself.